Alright, juniors. Today we are looking at the Holocaust. And there's certainly some images in the coming video which are not pleasant, but it is not a pleasant topic, so I'm not going to jump around it. But we're also not going to show particularly graphic images, so just letting you know. So Holocaust has a number of components. We're going to go over all of them. Not all of them, but the general outline. But from the images you see here, it covers everything from, in the top left, you have shootings of people, to the top right, which is image from a Jewish ghetto in Germany. Bottom left, it comes from one of the liberated concentration camps. And bottom right, you have hundreds of shoes. So we're going to cover a lot in this as we go. So first things first, what we refer to the Holocaust. A Holocaust is a destructive fire that is destroying everything in its path. So they refer to what the Nazis did before and during World War II as the Holocaust. And in reality, it's what's known as a democide, which is when a government kills any person or people, and this can be because of their race, because of their political leanings, homosexuality, or sexuality in general. Mental capabilities. So it's a government is undertaking this, and if you look at this, the Germans kill approximately 20 million people, and this, as you can see, includes a number of people. So forced euthanasia is when people are forcibly killed, so people at mental facilities or otherwise physically incapacitated. Prison of war, concentration, and death camps. And you see it broken down with Jews accounted for 5 million, Slavs, which is a race of people in Eastern Europe, 10 million, homosexuals and gypsies combined, approximately 500,000. If you look to the right, you can see which countries are affected the most. Soviet Union, 12 million people were killed, which is a lot. So, where do the origins of what we call the Holocaust come from? Well, as mentioned, or in the last slide, you saw the Slavs were actually the biggest or most affected group. However, the Jewish people, and rightly so, were certainly more tracked down. So, it comes down to anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is hatred of Jews. It's been around since the Middle Ages in Germany. Jews were forbidden from owning land, as I've mentioned before, and they became bankers and merchants, which means a lot of people resented Jewish people for having money. Even in 1895, a German political leader urged the extermination of the Jews. So you have these images like this one here of these rather evil-looking, greedy people. That greed is shown in this image here as well. People feeding this giant Jewish individual. Certainly a caricature. And probably the most famous one happens in the late 1890s. It's called the Dreyfus affair, where we have this man who's breaking the sword over his legs. And this man who's doing that, his name is Alfred Dreyfus. And he's a captain in France. So this is not just something that's limited to Germany. And he's falsely accused of essentially giving away secrets, military secrets. Everything that ended up having been he was accused of was all false. But there's this, especially in Europe at this time, this propensity, a great willingness to blame Jewish people for various things. So Hitler uses this hatred of the Jews and his need for a scapegoat his need for a group to blame Germany's problems on, and he utilizes the Jewish people as that. So economic problems are namely what he's focusing on, and he uses it to unite Germany. Jews were labeled as enemies of the state and subhuman mongrels. So when justifying what happens to the Jews, it's, if you don't think of people as humans, as we've seen with slavery, it's easier to commit horrid acts. Kristallnacht is really the first event, big event, that we see in Germany that's kind of foreshadowing what's going to come. It's Kristallnacht is German for the Night of Broken Glass. It occurs in 1938 after a German Jew assassinated a German diplomat. And in response and retaliation to this act, thousands of synagogues and Jewish stores were vandalized and destroyed. So, namely, windows are broken, but as you can see here, this is a synagogue which was burned to the ground. So Kristallnacht is really where this outrage towards Jews start to manifest itself in Germany. Next comes the ghettoization of German Jews, where in major cities, Jews were forced into ghettos. This occurs in 1940. And these are neighborhoods in cities where only Jews could live and few could actually leave. So you have, in the bottom left, Jewish men who are moving all of their possessions into these very small areas that are extremely crowded. And in the bottom right, since there is little access to these, you have people starving to death. You have this very young child who is dying on the street. And as much as people would want to help, people don't have anything to help with. Eventually, around these ghettos are walls that are built. So initially, people are just told to stay, and then they are forced to stay. So the Germans begin to really put people in these parts of the cities. However, as especially the war continues, the Germans step up their persecution of Jewish people and political enemies and various other groups, and starving them to concentration camps. As I said before, this is an image as the concentration camp was liberated by Allied troops. And concentration camps, there were about 15,000 concentration camps during World War II. So there wasn't just a couple, there was thousands upon thousands, 15,000 in fact. Some were death camps, in which case people were sent there to die. Others were work camps, where people mined coal, they made rubber, weapons, fuel. There was also sites of medical experiments there. So there's a wide variety of concentration camps. It refers to the idea that people were concentrated in one spot, but does not refer specifically to the nature of that camp. One of the most famous concentration camps is Auschwitz. And Auschwitz was actually about 3 concentration camps in total, and is located in Poland. At Auschwitz, approximately 1.1 million prisoners died, and that included about 1 in 6 of the Jews that were killed in the Holocaust died there. Namely, we have a great deal killed in gas chambers, or they died of starvation, forced labor, disease. People were executed as well. This is an image of children who were at Auschwitz. Children were no exception when it came to policies of the Nazis. And since we're killing but the Germans are killing 1.1 million people in Auschwitz, there's the need, as the Germans see, to try to eliminate the humanity of guards and people doing these acts. So these why, as you can see here, gas chambers were created so that German soldiers would not see who they are killing. However, the gas chambers, these are scratch marks of people that were killed in those gas chambers themselves. After the 1945, Auschwitz was liberated by Soviet troops. And when troops entered Auschwitz, they found thousands upon thousands of pairs of shoes. There's glasses, anything that the Germans could take from their victims, they would. So, we're going to look on Tuesday. Nope. We're going to look, I don't know what day this is. We're going to look the next class at less at the Holocaust itself and more how people resisted, how they were able to fight back.